All right, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to another edition of the Wildcats and Then Some podcast. I'm your host, Deshaun. It's Sunday, May 30th. Yeah, May 30th. Also Memorial Day weekend. So, hopefully y'all enjoy your weekend. If you're off work, just, if you're off work tomorrow, take the time to just relax, enjoy yourself, grab a few beers or whatever it is you drink, and just chill. If you got to work, well, hopefully you have a good work day. Hopefully it won't be too stressful. I am your host, Deshaun. Welcome back to another edition of the Wildcats and Then Some podcast. You know, when I recorded 2 weeks ago, I made a comment about Severe Wheeler. I said, if he comes to Kentucky, I'll be fine with it. And sure enough, a day after I recorded, Severe Wheeler came to Kentucky. You know, I'm happy. I ain't sad about it. I mean, if a player wants to come to Kentucky and they're pretty good, I mean, why would I say no? I mean, that's just stupid. So, yeah, some people might not like it, but I'm happy. I mean, I'm glad we got Severe Wheeler. We need, excuse me, Kentucky needs some players with experience, especially since our recruiting class was a little shallow. I mean, we got Damian Collins and Tata Washington and Bryce Hopkins, but that was pretty much it. So we need all the transfers we can get. What do I expect from Kentucky next year? I don't know. I mean, I don't expect it to be a repeat of last year, but hopefully, hopefully Kentucky will at least be a tournament team. Hopefully Kentucky will at least be a Final Four team. I mean, I think with the talent we have coming in, as well as the experienced transfers coming in, we should be able to compete with anybody next year. Now, I'm not gonna jump the gun and say, "Oh, we're gonna win the national championship," because I mean, I learned my lesson the hard way last year. Because I remember last year when we had brought in our recruiting class, which was number one, and then we brought in some transfers and Davian Mintz and Olivier Sarr. I'm thinking, shoot, it's gonna be Final Four bust for Kentucky. And what did we do? We went 9-16. We lost in the first round of the SEC tournament, and we didn't get invited to the NCAA tournament. Which, I mean, that was pretty obvious. You win 9 games, lose 16. Yeah, you're not gonna make it to the NCAA tournament with that kind of record. So, yeah, I do think Kentucky will be better, but if by some if by some crazy coincidence the 2021-22 season is a repeat of the 2020 season, John Calipari got to go. I mean, you've been at Kentucky for, this will be 13 years. I mean, yeah, John Calipari has done a lot of good for Kentucky. I mean, before he came along, we was booty cheeks. We sucked. With Billy Gillispie, we made it to the tournament his first year, but got beat in the first round. And Billy Gillespie's second year at Kentucky, we was an NIT team. Then we fired his ass. Brought in John Calipari. Immediately, we was great again. We went to the Elite Eight. Then we went to the Final Four. His third year at Kentucky, we won a national championship. Unfortunately, though, we haven't won a national championship since then. Now, yeah, we have been to the Final Four, but we haven't seen the Final Four since 2015. Now, for what reason, I don't know. Maybe we need to get rid of them checkerboards on our uniform, because we haven't been to the Final Four since we added the checkers. I mean, if it ain't the uniform, then I don't know. I guess we just need some good luck on our side in the NCAA tournament, because it seems like every time Kentucky gets beat in the NCAA tournament, the team that beats us, they play the game of their life. They play Kentucky like it's their national championship. And then when they get the next round, they suck and they lose. I mean, we saw that. That's what happened with West Virginia when they beat us in the 2010 tournament. That's what happened to Wisconsin when they beat us in the Final Four. They didn't get blown out, but they didn't play well, and they ended up losing the national championship to Duke. That's what happened to Indiana when they beat us in the 2016 tournament. That's what happened to Kansas State when they beat us in the 2018 Sweet 16. That's what happened to Auburn when they beat us in the Elite Eight back in the 19 tournament. Yeah. It's like they play Kentucky like it's the national championship game, and then they forget they got another game after they beat us. I mean, but I guess that's what happens when your team's not used to going that far in the tournament. So, but yeah, hopefully Kentucky will at least be a Final Four team next year. If not, then John Calipari needs to be put on the hot seat. Now, I'm not saying we should fire him if we don't win the championship next year, but you've been at UK for next year will be 13 years, and you've only delivered one championship. You got to do better than that, coach. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm thankful that we have Calipari. He's done a lot of good for Kentucky, but again, you got to win. I mean, we missed out on some big recruits over the years when we used to be able to get the best of the best. Now it's like we just get the good but not great recruits. Because yeah, we could have had Chet Holmgren, but you passed on him. He ended up with Gonzaga, I think. We could have had Paulo Bonchero, who's the number 2 player in the class, but he ended up at Duke. I don't even think you tried to recruit Patrick Baldwin Jr. He was ranked number 4. He's at Wisconsin Milwaukee. There was another really good player. I can't think of his name. It'll probably come back to me later. But over these last few years, we've been missing out on the best of the best. And it hasn't helped us much at all. Because like last year, we missed out on Cade Cunningham. I mean, I would have loved to have had Cade Cunningham instead of B.J. Boston. I'm just being honest here. But, I mean, Boston, regardless, though, I wish him the best of luck. I wish Isaiah Jackson the best of luck, and all the other cats who are heading off to the NBA. Even the cats who transferred, like Devin Askew transferred to Texas, Cameron Fletcher transferred to Florida. I mean, I wish them the best of luck. I hope they do well. I just wish they would have panned out at Kentucky. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, hopefully next year will be better. I mean, we've addressed pretty much all the problems that plagued us this year. Well, maybe not all of them, but we addressed the big problems that plagued us. I mean, lack of playmaking. We addressed that by adding Severe Wheeler. Last year at Georgia, Severe Wheeler led the SEC in assist. Now, he's not the best shooter, but what he does bring to the table, he can drive to the hoop. He's got high basketball IQ. He's a good playmaker. That's what we need. I mean, if he can make his threes when he's open, great. But yeah, that was our other problem: 3-point shooting. We was terrible last year in terms of 3-point shooting, and we went out and got some more shooters to help Dante Allen. We got Kellen Grady, who I believe is a 40% 3-point shooter at Davidson, and we also got C.J. Frederick, who shot over 40% from the 3-point line last year playing for Iowa. I just hope that the bright lights of Kentucky don't cause them to shrink. That's all. Because, I mean, look at Olivier Sarr. He was all ACC his last year at Wake Forest. Then he comes to Kentucky and he plays mediocre. Or look at, what's that dude's name? I can't think of his name. But I don't know. It'll probably come back to me later. But I just hope that the bright lights of playing for Kentucky don't cause C.J. Frederick and Kellen Grady to fold under pressure, because it ain't easy playing for Kentucky. I mean, playing for Kentucky is like playing for the Yankees. Everybody hates you. Just like the Yankees, you're either a Kentucky fan or you hate Kentucky. There's no in between. Just like the Yankees, Kentucky is the greatest team in their respective sport. I mean, I'm not a Yankees fan, but I imagine what the Yankees fans go through is probably the same thing that we go through. Everybody hates us. Everybody wants to beat us. Everybody circles New York on their calendar when they play the Yankees. I imagine it's like that for the Yankees too. So, yeah, hopefully next year, and not just our shooters. I hope Oscar Tshiebwe and Damian Collins and Ty Washington play up to speed too, and they don't fold under pressure. Because again, playing for Kentucky is not easy. Now, yeah, again, if Kentucky has a repeat of this year, John Calipari, it might be time for him to go. Now, the only problem with that is you don't want to fire John Calipari and replace him with a coach who's worse, because then you'll be rebuilding for years. I mean, look at Indiana. Ever since they let go of Bob Knight, they've had Mike Davis as a coach. They've had Kelvin Sampson. They've had Tom Crean. They've had Archie Miller. I don't know who their coach is now, but I know they fired Archie Miller. That's four coaches right there who haven't been able to bring Indiana back to prominence. I mean, Indiana hasn't made it to the Final Four since I think 2002 maybe. Yeah, I don't want that to happen in Kentucky. Now, of course, you don't want to keep Calipari too long, and he ends up being like Jim Boeheim, just collecting a check. If we get to the tournament, that's great. If we don't, whatever. But yeah, you gotta. If we're gonna let go of Calipari, all I'm saying is we gotta bring in the right coach. And really, the only there's only like two or three coaches I can think of who could come to Kentucky and replicate Calipari's success or do better. Billy Donovan's one of them, but I don't think he's going to leave the NBA, at least not anytime soon. Jay Wright, if he ever decides to leave Villanova, but then again, I don't know if Jay Wright would want the pressure that comes with Kentucky. Um, Brad Stevens, but he's with the Celtics. Probably going to be with the Celtics for another 5 years or so, depending on how they do. I mean, they struggled this year, but I don't think the Celtics are thinking about firing Brad Stevens, at least not yet. I mean, if it ain't one of them three, then yeah, we'd be better off keeping Calipari because, I mean, Coach K is not leaving Duke. That motherfucker's going to retire a Blue Devil. Tom Izzo's not leaving Michigan State. Roy Williams is not going to come out of retirement to come coach Kentucky. And Bill Self, he's not going to leave Kansas for Kentucky. I mean, if he would, I mean, yeah, I would. Well, no, I don't think that would be too great because Kansas was under the NCAA's watchful eye for recruiting violations they committed, and if they do decide to punish Bill Self, they'll probably slap him with a show clause or something. And if he were to leave Kansas, it's gonna follow him. So yeah, I wouldn't want Bill Self at Kentucky. I wouldn't want Sean Miller at Kentucky either, the former Arizona coach. So yeah, Big Blue Nation looks like we're stuck with John Calipari for at least another 3 or 4 years. Hopefully, he will deliver another national championship. If not, I don't know. Actually, there's another coach. I think Kenny Payne would be a good replacement for Calipari. I mean, I know he wants to be a head coach. So, I mean, if we do decide to fire Calipari, or if he just retires from Kentucky, I think Kenny Payne would be great as the next coach for Kentucky. Anyways, moving along from Kentucky, Julio Jones has been in the news lately because he wants out of Atlanta. Now, last year, he had a down year last year. He had, I think, 60 receptions, like a little over 700 yards and 3 touchdowns, which, I mean, for an average receiver, that's not a bad year. But for Julio Jones, a guy who's a perennial Pro Bowler, a perennial All-Pro receiver, a future Hall of Famer, that's a bad year. I mean, Julio, yeah, he was the fastest receiver to 10,000 yards. He's, again, a multi-time Pro Bowler. He's great. I think Julio is a Hall of Famer. I mean, he might get in on the first ballot, but it just depends on who else is in his class. It also depends on how the rest of his career plays out. I mean, Julio was pretty good in Atlanta. Like I said, he gained over 10,000 yards while there. I actually think he's over 12,000. He saw the playoffs a few times. He played in the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, they lost. But I think Julio still has a little gas left in the tank. Now, from the rumors that have been circulating, the teams that are most interested in Julio are the Patriots, my team, the Titans. I believe the 49ers is one of the teams that's interested in Julio, and somebody else. I think it's an AFC team, but I can't remember who. But, I mean, Julio, excuse me, yeah, he's 32 years old. Yeah, he is declining, but I think he still has a little bit of gas left in the tank. And if all Atlanta wants is a second round draft pick, then shoot. Tennessee Titans, y'all need to pick up the phone and offer that second round draft pick so we can get him. Seriously, we need a number two receiver. I mean, at this point in his career, I don't know. I don't think Julio probably isn't a number one anymore, but he'd be a pretty good number two. I mean, good route runner. He's got hands. He's well, maybe not anymore, but freakishly athletic. Julio would be a great number two, especially playing next to someone like AJ Brown. So, Tennessee, if the Falcons just want a second round draft pick up that damn phone and make the trade, make it happen. AJ Brown has even said he'd be okay with giving up number 11 so Julio can wear it. Like, we need a number two. I mean, we lost Corey Davis to the New York Jets. We signed Josh Reynolds, I think that's his name, who was played with the Rams last year. I mean, he's alright. He's got good size. He's 6'3", kind of fast, but I don't think he's a true number two. So, yeah, Tennessee, we need Julio. I mean, our offense is pretty good. Even though, our offense could be better, but our offense is, nonetheless, offense is pretty good. Our defense needs a lot of work, though, if we're going to seriously contend for a Super Bowl. Because that was our Achilles heel last year, our defense. Which is odd, considering Tennessee is typically a team known for their defense, not for their offense. But yeah, we probably need Julio more than the other teams that are interested. I mean, yeah, New England could use Julio too, because I guess Nelson Aguilar is their best receiver, but I don't want to see Julio in a Patriots uniform. I'd rather see him in a Titans uniform. But yeah, even though I don't like the Patriots, I do hope that Cam Newton has a bounce back season. I just hope it's without Julio Jones, because I want Julio in a Titans uniform. And besides, other than Julio, Tim Tebow his name has been buzzing a lot lately. Yeah, Stephen A. Smith went on there talking about Tebow signing with the Jaguars had much to do with white privilege, which I don't disagree. Pretty much the way I see it, Tim Tebow being signed, white privilege had something to do with it, but it wasn't the main reason why Tim Tebow was signed. The Jaguars head coach is Urban Meyer, so there's that connection since Tebow was Florida's quarterback when Urban Meyer was the head coach. But then again, I understand why, and I agree that white privilege had something to do with Tim Tebow getting signed. Because Tebow was drafted as a quarterback, and he wasn't a good quarterback. Yeah, he had a few games where he led the Broncos to some comeback victories, but overall, Tebow was an average NFL quarterback. Yeah, he helped the Broncos win that playoff game against the Steelers, but then the Patriots shut his ass down. When he left Denver, actually they released him so they could sign Peyton Manning, and that worked out pretty well for them. Tebow bounced around. He signed with the Jets, got cut. Signed with the Patriots, got cut. He might have signed with somebody else, but Tebow never made it onto an active roster after he got cut from the Broncos. And when Tebow originally was cut from the Broncos, there were teams that wanted him to come in to play the tight end position, but he didn't want to do it. But here we are in 2021, and now all of a sudden he wants to be a tight end. Yeah, I think white privilege definitely had something to do with it. Now, before anyone gets their panties in a bunch, white privilege doesn't mean you grew up rich. It's crazy. It's like the word privilege. It's like privilege is the N-word for white people. You tell them they're privileged and they throw a fit. Yeah, white privilege doesn't mean you grew up rich. It doesn't mean your life was easy. All it means is your life wasn't made harder simply because of your skin color. Yeah, Tim Tebow, the reason why I say white privilege was part of the reason he got signed is because of this. Can you name one black quarterback, just one, who could leave the NFL, One black quarterback who was mediocre, got cut, was out of the NFL for 6, 7 years, decides he wants to change positions and get welcomed back just like that. Yeah, I don't know any. I mean, maybe Lamar Jackson, if the Ravens were to cut him and nobody wanted to pick him up. I mean, yeah, maybe he could come back. Maybe. I wouldn't say it's a definite, but yeah, I can't think of any black quarterbacks who could leave the NFL, go play baseball, not be good at it, come back to the NFL 6, 7 years later, and be brought on just like that. I don't know any. Now, I'm not saying I want Tim Tebow to fail, but I just don't see it working. I mean, Tebow is, I think, 33 now. Now, if Tebow would have made this change while he was young and while he was still in his athletic prime, yeah, he might have been a pretty good tight end. But now at this point in his career, yeah, I really don't think he's that good. I don't think he could do it. And another reason why I'd say it's privilege is because hell, there are some free agent tight ends who have shown that they can play the position that still haven't been signed, like Trey Burton. Like, why is he still a free agent? I mean, I know he's not the best tight end in the game, but Trey Burton has proved that he can be a tight end in the NFL and succeed at that position. Tyler Eifert, another one. Now, Eifert, yeah, he's white as well, but I mean, Eifert, he has shown he can play the tight end position in the NFL, even though only problem is he's just injury prone. That's it. There are some others who haven't been signed, but yeah, Tebow, yeah, he gets signed because of Urban Meyer. Like, come on now. Urban, I know you and Tebow have that connection, but you could have gave some other people a chance. I mean, you could have gave some of them black tight ends from the HBCUs a chance. I mean, because, yeah, nobody from a HBCU got drafted, and that's got to change. Now, of course, I'm not saying this is all on Tebow, because it's not. The NFL has all kind of problems that they need to address when it comes to race issues, but Tebow being signed definitely had something to do with him being white. It is what it is. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, moving along from Tebow, moving along from the NFL, the NBA playoffs have started. Lakers was playing earlier. They were losing by like 15. I don't know if they actually won that game. You know what? Give me 1 second. They might have. Let's see. The game might be over with. Bear with me, folks. Okay. So the Suns beat the Lakers 192. So now the series is tied at 2 apiece. Which, I mean, I'm not surprised. I picked the Lakers to win this series in 6 anyway. But if the Lakers it might go to 7. Because, shoot, Anthony Davis got hurt. He left the game due to a groin injury, and Phoenix has momentum. It's shout out to AD, former Kentucky Wildcat. Yeah, I love Anthony Davis. He's one of my favorite players, even though he plays for the Lakers, a team that I don't like. But, I mean, I like seeing Anthony Davis perform well. I like to see him out there on the court. I personally think AD has the talent to be one of the top. He has the talent to be a top 5 tight end all time. Tight end. I'm stuck on football. Excuse me. AD. What? I mean, AD. I was stuck on football there for a second. AD has the talent to be a top 5 power forward of all time, but dude is made of glass. Like, I don't know what it is. Maybe he don't drink enough milk. Maybe he doesn't take good care of his body. I don't know what it is, but AD always gets hurt. And it'd be little things like his groin, his knee, strained Achilles, shoulder. I mean, he's never had any major injuries like a broken leg or torn ACL, but he still gets injured and still misses a lot of games. Which is a shame too, because AD, when he's healthy, is arguably the best big man in the NBA. He can score in the post. He's a good shooter. He can knock down jump shots from the mid-range and 3. He's a good defender in the paint as well as out on the perimeter. Yeah, AD's the man. He just can't stay healthy. But I mean, hey, I ain't gonna lie, AD kind of sucked in game one, but he killed it in game two and three, and he struggled in game four before he left with an injury. So hopefully AD gets well. But this year's playoffs, it hasn't been good for Kentucky Wildcats. Man, Miami's out. They got swept by Milwaukee. Tyler Hero played like shit in the whole playoffs. Even though last year Tyler Hero was a playoff hero, no pun intended. But this year Tyler Hero sucked ass in the playoffs. But yeah, I just think it was a sophomore slump. I mean, he's a young player. He's 21 years old. He's a millionaire playing in Miami of all places. Like, I don't think he's too distracted, but I think it's just a sophomore slump. I think he'll get out of it. He'll show people why he was drafted in the lottery, and go on to become a star, maybe. But yeah, Tyler Hero, yeah, he sucked. I mean, I think, like I said, last year was great. This year, in the playoffs, he was only averaging like 7 points per game and was shooting like 30% from the field. I don't know what the hell happened. I mean, but yeah, he sucked. So did Duncan Robinson. Julius Randle, shout out to you as well for winning Most Improved Player and for getting the Knicks to the playoffs. Julius Randle has been bad in the playoffs too. I mean, he's only averaging, I think, 14 per game so far in this series, and the Knicks are down 3-1 against the Hawks. That series is pretty much over. I mean, especially if Julius Randle doesn't play better. Like, excuse me, I don't know what happened, but I mean, maybe it's just playoff jitters, because this is the first time Julius Randle been in the league for 7 years now, and this is his first time in the playoffs, and he's kind of sucked. I mean, maybe it's just playoff jitters. I don't know. I mean, sometimes that happens. I mean, everybody can't be like Tyler Hero and be a boss in his first time in the playoffs. Sometimes you're gonna have jitters and you're gonna suck. I think that's what happened with Julius, but otherwise, I do think going into next year, the Knicks will be a team to watch out for. I think going into next year, Julius Randle will be a top 3, top 5 at the power forward position. I mean, really, as far as this year went, the only power forwards who were better than Julius Randle were AD when he was healthy, which was like maybe half the season, and Giannis. That's it. Yeah. Zion Williamson is not better than Julius Randle. At least not yet. I think he could be in the future, but as I'm speaking today, hell no. Zion's not better than Julius Randle. Julius Randle, unlike Zion, can actually shoot. I mean, Zion, look, I mean, I get it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But you can't just run to the hoop and dunk on people or lay the ball up all the damn time. You gotta add more to your game, which I think Zion will do that. I think he will add to his game. But I mean, right now he's just a super freakishly athletic point forward. Cause hell, he got a nice handle. He's a good passer. He's excellent finisher. He's probably the best in-game dunker in the league. Or if it ain't him, it's Zach LaVine. But yeah, Zion, a lot of people try to say Zion's better than Julius Randle, but he's not. At least not now. Jamal Murray, he's out. He tore his ACL before the playoffs. I mean, if Denver had him, shoot, they'd probably be up 3-1 right now on the Blazers. But they're down. Well, actually, no, they're not down. They're tied 2-2. But the last game they played, Portland beat the fuck out of them. I think Portland beat their ass by 30. Yeah, if they had Murray, yeah, they probably still lose the game, but at least it wouldn't have been a 30-point ass whooping. That's all I'm saying. I picked the Nuggets to get past the Blazers, but it might not happen. I mean, the Blazers got the momentum after beating them by 30. It's tied 2-2. I think the Blazers are going to take it in 6. Of course, I could be wrong, but I mean, momentum is big, especially in the playoffs. So, yeah. I don't think there's any other Kentucky players who are in the playoffs. I mean, AD has struggled somewhat, struggled a little bit in these playoffs. Julius Randle struggled. Hero can't even talk about Hero no more. He's out. Miami got swept. Um, yeah, I don't think there's any other Kentucky players in the playoffs. Oh, Willie Cauley-Stein on my Mavericks. I mean, he's done okay. I mean, we're up 2-1 on the Clippers, but if we're gonna advance past the Clippers, well, Luka needs to be healthy. I mean, he was questionable for today's game, but he's gonna play. And Kristaps Porzingis is gonna have to play better. Like, you don't have to give us more than 8 points, Kristaps. You're gonna have to be a little tougher. Stop letting them push you around, dog. And we're gonna need to make some shots inside the arc. We can't live and die by the three. But yes, threes are more valuable than twos, but you got to utilize all the areas of the floor, not just the 3-point line, Dallas. But yeah, I don't think there's any other Kentucky players that are in the playoffs. No, there's not, because Milwaukee doesn't have Eric Bledsoe anymore. They replaced him with Drew Holiday, who has been much better, I gotta admit. Memphis, yeah, they don't have any Kentucky players. Utah doesn't have any. Oh yeah, Devin Booker. Shout out to Devin Booker. He's first time for him being in the playoffs. I mean, the Suns are now tied with the Lakers 2-2. I mean, unfortunately, I still think the Lakers are going to take the series, but it'd be a big upset if the Suns pull it off. Which I get it. I know the Suns are the 2 seed, the Lakers are the 7 seed, but it's still the Lakers. It's still LeBron James. LeBron's still arguably the best player in the game. If the Suns can put the Lakers, send them home, yeah, I'd be upset. Even though they are the higher seed. Just in my opinion. I'm just saying. But yeah, y'all, I'm gonna let y'all go. Before I let y'all go, got some show and movie recommendations for you. Over the weekend, I went to saw Cruella. Me and my wife, we went to the drive-in theater to see it, and it was a good movie. Like, I didn't know what to expect of it. I didn't think it was gonna be a masterpiece. I didn't think it was gonna be a bad movie. I just went in there with no expectations, and I left the drive-in theater happy because it was a good ass movie. I would give it 4 out of 5 stars. And damn, I forgot her name. Emma Stone. I think that's her name. She played Gwen Stacy on The Amazing Spider-Man. She did a good job of playing Cruella. It was a good movie. Good plot, good acting overall. It was just great. Well, good. Not great, but good. I gotta say, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I think drive-in theaters are better than your standard movie theater, because you can sit in the comfort of your own car. You can bring your food from the outside. Now, yeah, you do have to pay a little bit more to get in, but it's worth it. Hell, you can sit outside the car if you want to and pull up a lawn chair. But yeah, I don't know. It's just something about that drive-in theater atmosphere. I just like it more than the standard movie theater. So if you can, go see Cruella at the drive-in theater if you have one near you. If not, then just go to the movies and see it. And you don't want to pay the $29.99 that Disney Plus is charging. For all the Lucifer fans out there, Lucifer season 5 part 2 is back. I haven't finished watching it completely, but I've watched probably about half of it, and it's been pretty damn good. But I mean, it's Lucifer. It's arguably, Lucifer, in my personal opinion, one of the greatest TV shows of all time. So yeah, you're not gonna be disappointed. So if you haven't checked it out already, do so. All right, y'all. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all Memorial Day weekend and have a good Sunday.